In this video, we are going to look at Lookism chapter number 549. In the last chapter, we saw Gapryong Kim absolutely destroying Jinrang and probably killed him. In this chapter, we see a backstory of Jinrang, Baek and Jeongseok Hwang and how they grow up. So we start off by hearing Baek's voice sitting in a pipe, and he says, "Trash, we were trash. We were the dogs of the junkyard." And the story is, when they were kids, they grew up in a junkyard which was owned by an old woman known as the Ant Mother. Every day she came to the junkyard with her fat bodyguard and told the kids to go to the work. Their work was they had to separate the gums into packaging of one. They would make more profit if they could sell one gum each. This is child labor and a horrible exploitation of children done by the Ant Mother, and that was their routine for every day in the junkyard. And if somebody tries to escape the junkyard, the fat bodyguard of the owner of the junkyard would find the kid and beat the kid so mercilessly, so ruthlessly, that no other kid would have the courage to escape the junkyard. It looks like they lived a trapped life where they had to work for this old woman. But for Baek it was different. The Ant Mother thought that Baek is pretty, so every day she took Baek to her house to do his makeup. Every day a nameless child stepped in the way to stop the old woman and to protect Baek, and obviously we know who that child is, and obviously he got beat up for doing so. Then we see a panel of Jeongseok Hwang stepping in the middle, taking Jinrang's beating on him, protecting Jinrang, and Jinrang is like, "Jeongseok Hwang, step out of the way." And what's crazy to see is Jeongseok Hwang as a kid is still very tough, and obviously we know in the present timeline he could take a hit from James Lee and still stand on his feet. That is a feat in itself, but even as a kid he was tough. So they got beat up for standing in the way, trying to protect Baek, and then Baek goes on to say that we had no freedom. We were like the dogs on a leash, and even if we were given freedom, we wouldn't know what to do with it. So every day Baek returned from the Ant Mother's house. He brought some buns to eat along with him, and Jinrang asks Baek that if he's okay, and obviously Baek pretends to be okay and smiling, and "I bought buns with myself. The Ant Mother said that I did a good job, so she gave me buns." But even though Baek is pretending to be happy, he's not happy. He goes on to his little house, which is a construction pipe, and starts crying there and saying that it hurts, and he says that he doesn't want to do this makeup again. But one day Jinrang had enough. He took a stone, slammed into the face of the fat bodyguard of the Ant Mother, and kept smashing his face until he started bleeding. Then the fat bodyguard stood up and hits Jinrang, and this was the first time that Jinrang hit somebody to protect Baek, and the owner of the junkyard cannot believe it, neither Baek or Jeongseok Hwang. Jinrang has completely destroyed the fat bodyguard, and we see his face stoned on the ground and he's lying there unconscious. And Jinrang says, "Even if I have a leash around my neck, you're my pack. I will protect my pack." Suddenly we see two adults from the arena. One of them kicks Jinrang in the stomach and says, "These kids need some more training." And we see a panel of these two guys. They are Busan gang number 2 Yongpal Bae and Busan gang number 3 Jongnam Hwang, and they're actually quite surprised by seeing that Jinrang alone beat this fat guy, which is quite impressive because he was still an active fighter in the arena. So these two guys takes Jinrang, Baek and Jeongseok Hwang to the arena as a kids, and we see crowd going, "Hurry up and get them started." We see crowd booing, yelling, throwing bottles, throwing bricks, and we see a very innocent and a little bit funny panel of these three, one of them holding wine bottles, one of them holding bricks, and Jinrang standing in the middle. It looks like they were going to fight big muscular guy, and Baek says, "That's how we became the arena's dogs." And these three were quite impressive. Even as kids, they used to team up to beat up the big guys standing in front of them. And Baek says, "You had to fight, because if you didn't stand up to your expectations, you would get hunted." But one day they had to fight a guy whose name was Jamal Harris, and people believe that nobody can stop him. But suddenly we see a panel of Jinrang jumping on that fighter's shoulder and hitting him in the face with an elbow. That was the first time Jinrang started using elbow strikes, and that was an intense elbow strike. And the reason for this was because Jinrang's fist was shattered a long time ago, so he couldn't use his punches anymore, and his fists were too small to fight, so he had to use his elbows to survive, and we see that fighter is knocked out unconscious. This is the birth of champions. This is how these three grew up as kids, and now they had turned into adults. And people are shocked, people cannot believe it. People are thinking, are you serious? The dogs of the arena became the champions of the arena. Again, this Busan gang number 2 and Busan gang number 3 shows up and says, we'll have to take you with us. And obviously they had no choice but to say yes, because if the owner pulls the leash on the dog must start walking. So they couldn't disobey him. They simply said yes sir. So that's how these three joined the Busan gang. They have come a long way from working in a junkyard, being exploited as a child labor, to being the gatekeepers of the Busan gang. Everything seemed like it was working out until we see a person stabbing Sang Baek in the stomach, and because their job was to protect the Busan from any gang which tries to enter Busan, and they had to fight these gangs. And one day when the fight was over, they saw a man walking towards them. Was it you three? You are pretty skilled. And suddenly Jeongseok Hwang goes for a punch and he gets absolutely shattered and destroyed on the ground with just one hit from a guy we already know who he is. He's Baek Jeongseok Hwang, the father of Jerry Kwon. He just one punch knocked out Jeongseok Hwang on the ground. Then Jinrang, being the leader of the pack, goes for an elbow strike, and somebody steps in the middle, easily stops Jinrang's elbow and says, you have got great eyes. And Jinrang says, I will kill you. He's like, and the guy says, me? And the guy takes off his coat and his hat, passes his to his driver. His driver's like, sir, what are you doing? He's like, it's okay. Those are the eyes of the protector of a pack. You can't stop such eyes with a conversation. Obviously, this person is none other than the Gapryong Kim's fist gang boss, Gapryong Kim. It looks like they are going to fight. Now things are getting very interesting here. So that's it from this chapter. Please like this video, give a thumbs up, and make sure to subscribe. Click the bell icon. I'll see you in the next chapter. Thank you.